The situation in Israel remains grim as now the death toll reaches over 500. Over the disheartening situation, the Prime Minister of Israel has offered a solid threat to the Hamas terrorist group. He has said, and I would like to quote, all of the places which Hamas is deployed, hiding and operating in, that wicked city, we will turn them into rubble. I say to the residents of Gaza, leave now because we will operate forcefully everywhere. Joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava. He's an international affairs expert. Now, of course, these are some strong and aggressive, this is a strong and aggressive stance that has been taken by the Israeli PM. So now, what do you make of these statements coming in?
Well, Sabri, I think operations of Israel has already begun, and you will see this operation will continue in a massive way because the kind of attack Israel has had from the Hamas terrorists is obviously unprecedented and sudden attack. But having defending while defending itself, and I believe that there are reports that the hostage situation is also there. A lot of Israeli citizens have been taken hostage by the Hamas terrorists, and they have been taken into Gaza, and they are being spread out to several areas of Gaza. And obviously, Hamas terrorists are using them as a shield to protect themselves from Israeli attack. But this will not deter Israel, and Israel will respond to this kind of attack with a zero tolerance approach, what Israel has been doing always. And obviously, this attack is a terrorist attack. Let me be very clear that this attack is a terrorist attack. This attack has been done with a deep conspiracy to divide the world on religious lines. And these terrorists, obviously, they are pursuing this agenda of a clash of civilization. And the kind of dialogue and negotiations were happening between Israel and the Arab world through the Abraham Accords, which were obviously signed in 2020. But the process of normalizing ties between the Arab and Israeli was very much going on. And if you look at the current Israeli relationship with UAE, with Jordan, with other Arab countries, it is improving. And obviously, there was a push from the United States of America. United States of America mediated this Abraham Accords, and this through this kind of process, US was also pushing to have a closer understanding and cooperation with Saudi Arabia and within Saudi Arabia and Israel. So I think these terrorists, they obviously wanted to disrupt, it appears, this entire normalization process of relations between Israel and Arab. And they obviously, for that to do, they have done this kind of a massive attack. And this attack is obviously, as I said, it could be a result of a very deep conspiracy to keep division between the Arab and Israel, and so that these terrorists could fulfill their vested interest in whichever ways they want. So I think this is a deep conspiracy, and the international community must be very much aware and must be very clear what these terrorists want, and they should not be allowed to succeed with their agenda. I think at one point of time, when it is very important for the international community to stand solidly behind Israel, but at the same time, it is also important to defeat this kind of a deep conspiracy which they are hatching to divide the world on religious lines, on the civilizational lines. So I think the process of normalization of ties between Jews and Arabs must continue, and I hope that on that front progress will continue being made. But at the same time, it is also very important to defeat this kind of terrorist agendas, and for that to do, I think massive operations are required. India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi himself has tweeted calling it a terrorist attack, and obviously it is a terrorist attack. United States of America's President Joe Biden, in the last evening address, clearly, said that this is a terrorist attack, and the United States of America is solidly behind Israel. So I think this entire, conspiracy has been hatched with a very negative and divisive intentions. That must be clearly understood. And the process of normalization of the Arab-Israeli relationship must continue, but at the same time, these terrorists must be isolated. they must be encountered with and they must be given a kind of a treatment they deserve. Obviously, Israel has a zero tolerance policy against terrorism and extremism, and Israel is responding, and Israel's response, you will see in times ahead, will be much more deeper. Benjamin Netanyahu says it's a long war, it's a long process of operations. So I think in times ahead, in days and weeks ahead, you will see more operations for Israel being continued. And having said that, let me say, United States of America will be very much there with Israel, and they will collaborate more closely. United States of America also very much aware the kind of ambition, the over-ambition China is having in that area. So just to again reassert its positioning, reassert its posture in the Middle East region, United States of America will be very closely collaborating with Israeli forces in those operations which Israel is carrying out at this point of time.
Right, sir. We're also being joined by Major Mohammad Ali Shah. He's a defense expert. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining in on NewsX. Now, the Israeli PM saying that they will turn Hamas into rubble. So, what do you think? What kind of an attack is Israel vowing for?
See, most certainly, Hamas did a terrorist attack on Israel, and Hamas is a terrorist organization. They have been declared as banned. So it is the very fact is when they did an attack, and they also released deadly video footages and photographs, and you can grossly see it is gross human rights violation. It's dreadful actually. Thereafter, Israel said, okay, we will take revenge. But the very fact is, again, if you see the conflict of the history of the Palestine-Israeli conflict, it goes back over 100 years, over a century, in fact. In the last of the 19th century, there was the attacks were there. There was a tension between the two nations. Then the mid 20th century, there was again a tension, and then ultimately in 1947, and there was a war between both the nations, which went on from 1947 to 1949, and because the UN also had stepped in and they tried to sign a pact, but it didn't really work out. In 1979, once again, there was a declaration. So there have been a lot of issues where people have tried to step in and try to patch them up, tried them to get them on the table and to become friends. There have been various pacts and declarations, but none of them have really worked out. So the very fact is now, see, let's accept the fact that Palestinian army isn't strong at all. Israel is very, very strong. They are they are masters in technology. They have. And, well, I see what happened in Al-Aqsa Mosque. It shouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, I would call it wrong. I would call an action wrong. Attacking any place of religious worship, be it a temple, be it a synagogue, be it a mosque, be it a church, be it a gurdwara, anywhere. When you enter into any religious place, it is wrong. I would call it irrespective of what could have been the reason. But when you also go on for an attack, I would call that wrong. Because no matter how badly you were provoked, no, the very fact is you started an attack, it's wrong. So Hamas said, okay, they entered Al-Aqsa Mosque. So yesterday they announced the whole Operation Al-Aqsa Storm. And that is how, I mean, when they went in, and within a span of 20 minutes, 5 rockets were fired. It's not even 5 hours, 20 minutes. Imagine. Now, how did they gather so many rockets together? And how did they fire there without the Mossad getting no? So most certainly it was an intelligence failure also, I would call that. You cannot operate like that. Secondly, it was human rights violation. Totally. You know, we have fought several wars with China, be it with Pakistan, be it 1962, be it 1965, be it 1971, be it an unconventional war in 1999. We have taken 93,000 prisoners of war from Pakistan. We did not ill-treat any. We always respected them through Geneva Conventions, and we always gave them their due respect. A soldier is not a personal enemy. A soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him. A soldier fights because he loves what's behind him. A terrorist does that. A terrorist will attack women, children, will attack innocents, will ill-treat, will go on for human rights violation. A person from a regular army never does that. The poem which we read in school, Thomas Hardy's poem, The Man He Killed. So if we have to go by that, it is wrong. Totally. So now when the head of state of Israel says, okay, we will revenge, there have been a lot of images which are all over social media from both sides, I would say, in a way that, Hamas did something very, very wrong, grossly wrong. They, in fact, everyone knows they are a terrorist organization. It was avenged later on, I don't know if those images were to be believed, if they were to be true. I have seen gruesome images on my cell phone, they're there. I have been telling people, don't forward it. I have been deleting it because I feel I am a strong believer of human rights. Totally, human rights of soldier, human rights of locals, human rights of civilians, anyone. So the very fact is when Israel said, okay, we will avenge. Now, another point to be noted over here is, Devika, that Palestine will not get support from various regions and countries. Why? Because there is a terrorist organization involved over here. So who loses out? Who loses out? It's going to be Palestine. Ultimately, it's going to be Hamas, who are going to be getting a befitting reply from Israel. Israel is not going to leave them. They're going to sort them out. And when Israel comes to sort them out, it's going to be a problem. Now, they've been under theory that people were asking questions that, okay, can Iran be behind it? What is Iran involvement? See, this is a matter of investigation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.